Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hope you guys are doing well. A quick preview and prediction for Chris Eubank Jr. versus Matvey Korobov. This fight goes down on the 7th of December and it takes place at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Of course, this is on the undercard of Jamal Charlo versus Dennis Hogan. To me, I've got to say, this is a much better fight and one I'm really looking forward to. Also, just to note, this will be Chris Eubank Jr.'s US debut. He's obviously spent most of his career in the UK. He's also fought in Germany and Saudi Arabia, and now he makes his US debut. Will that add any pressure to this fight for him? Potentially, but it's good to see Eubank Jr. branching out and going in a different direction. And I've got to say, I really like this Matt Korobov fight. I think it's competitive. I believe it's dangerous, and Matt Korobov certainly brings a style that could trouble Eubank Jr. given what we've seen in the past. So credit to Eubank Jr. for taking on this type of opponent, because for his US debut, he could have easily fought somebody who was designed to kind of make him look good. But Matt Korobov certainly doesn't do that in terms of his style, so credit to Eubank Jr. for taking this fight on. Korobov is a good fighter in his own right. He's certainly underachieved, but on his day, he's a very good boxer and a very skilled technical fighter. So a good opponent for Eubank Jr. and certainly a competitive fight, in my opinion. Now let's get into the tale of the tape briefly. We will start with Chris Eubank Jr. He has a record of 28 wins, 2 defeats, 0 draws. 21 of his 28 wins come by way of knockout. He is an orthodox fighter. Matt Korobov has a record of 28 wins, 2 defeats, 1 draw, 14 of his 28 wins coming by way of knockout. Matt Korobov is a southpaw. Chris Eubank Jr. is listed as 5 feet 11 with a 72.5-inch reach, whereas Matt Korobov is listed as 5 foot 11 with a 70.5-inch reach. So both guys are the same size in terms of height, but Eubank Jr. does have a 2-inch reach advantage. Will that really play a factor in this fight? I don't personally believe so, given the styles of both men, but it's certainly worth mentioning. I know both guys are pretty much the same size, but Eubank Jr. has been used to fighting at 168 as well. He's fought some good guys at 168. I know Korobov has fought above middleweight, but when he's fought above middleweight, he's never really fought anybody of any consequence. So Eubank Jr. is used to fighting bigger guys at a high level in comparison to Matt Korobov, and maybe that could tell on fight night. Maybe Eubank Jr. can bring that strength down back to middleweight, and this time around he's more effective. We will see. But, stylistically, it's an interesting fight. As we know, Chris Eubank Jr. in the past, he does struggle with guys who can stick and move, guys who can manage the distance and maintain range. Matt Korobov can do that. He can box in a rhythm behind that southpaw stance, and he's technically very good, and dare I say it, a massive underachiever in the pro ranks. Obviously Korobov was an elite amateur, and you can see that shine through in his style and in his skill set. Obviously Korobov hasn't really lived up to his potential, but in my opinion he's still a banana skin type fighter, and on his day he can make you look bad or even upset you. Go back and watch the fight with Jamal Charlo. A lot of people felt Korobov won that fight, and that style of fighting, like I say, potentially gives Eubank Jr. problems. Korobov is very good on the move, he's good on the back foot, he's got a lovely jab, a lovely 1-2, and he utilises that southpaw stance extremely well. He's got nice quick feet where he can get in and out, and also utilise angles to land his punches, particularly that straight left down the pipe. And he's just a good technical boxer. And we saw Eubank Jr. struggle with that style in the past. Whether it be Billy Joe Saunders, a slick southpaw who moves, or even George Groves, a bigger, more stationary guy, but a guy who can maintain range behind a solid jab and a solid straight right hand, and he would pick you off coming in. Eubank Jr. has struggled with guys who, prefer to fight on the outside behind a jab. If you do that style well, so far in Eubank's career, he's struggled with that. So, if Korobov can fight anything like he fought against Jamal Charlo, I believe Eubank Jr. will be in for a really tough night, especially early on, because Korobov's feet are very quick, and when he's in his rhythm, he never usually sets his feet. He's quite risk averse, and for a guy like Eubank Jr., again, I think that style is problematic. But the only issue with Korobov is obviously, first and foremost, over the years, the guy has not really shown the potential that he promised. And he's 36 years old as well, so coming towards the end of his career. And the worst thing for him is he does gas down the stretch. We saw that against Jamal Charlo, even to a lesser extent against Emmanuel Alim. He kind of struggled down the stretch during these fights. And Eubank Jr., as we know, brings a consistent work rate. He will try from the first bell to the last bell. Even if he's not really having much success in regards to landing clean punches, he's still making you work hard. Go back and watch the Billy Joe Saunders fight, for example. First 6 rounds, Billy Joe was schooling Chris Eubank Jr., but he was working hard doing it. And that obviously tired him out down the stretch, and Eubank Jr. came back into that fight and had success. And even the same happened against George Groves. George Groves kind of fell apart in the last 2 rounds, started to gas, dislocated his shoulder, and that was because of a tough fight physically. Not a tough fight technically, but a tough fight physically. Eubank Jr. does make you work, and the 2 guys who did beat him, they weren't easy fights for the guys who won. They weren't. Certainly not physically, at least. So you have to take that into account when you talk about this fight, because like I said, Korobov, 36 years old, not being active, maybe coming towards the end, and in my opinion, he hasn't got the greatest gas tank, and down the stretch is where I believe this fight will be won or lost for either guy. Obviously, like I say, Matt Korobov has the ability to outbox Eubank Jr., to outskill Eubank Jr. and to win rounds, but can he do that for 12 whole rounds without gassing or getting drawn into a fight? I'm not so sure, especially at his age now. I wouldn't be surprised to see a type of fight where Korobov is winning, maybe 4 rounds to 2 or 5 rounds to 1 on the cards, but after the 6th round he starts to slow down, and that's when Eubank Jr. comes back into it. And down the stretch, if it comes to that, I would favour Eubank Jr. to sneak out a win here, whether that be a close points win, a controversial points win, or potentially even a late stoppage. I don't think that's out of the realms of possibility, to be honest. But I am leaning towards a late stoppage for Eubank Jr. I believe he's got the intensity to do that. He's the younger, fresher guy, the guy who's been more used to fighting bigger guys. And he's fought this style before, and while he's struggled against this style, maybe he's got the experience he needs now to cope better against that style. Maybe he's learned from his past mistakes. We will see, He's not been in the ring for some time. Maybe he's been working on a few things here and there. And in the ring against James DeGale, a negative fighter, and I know James DeGale wasn't the fighter he was, but I noticed a few improvements from Eubank Jr. I liked the fact he was using his jab a little bit more. He was closing distance and cutting the ring off in a better fashion. Again, not perfect by any means, but certainly better from his fights with the likes of Billy Joe Saunders. So I do believe Eubank Jr. has improved somewhat, not massively, but I believe he's a better fighter than he was back in 2014, 2015 when he fought Billy Joe. So I am leaning towards Eubank Jr. to win this fight, whether it be close points, controversial points, or maybe a late stoppage. I think that's how this fight's going to play out. Kind of like a come from behind Eubank win. I expect Eubank to work the body when he can, even early on when Korobov is fresh. In the clinch, I really expect Eubank Jr. to be the stronger man, and that could also be pivotal in reducing Korobov's gas tank. So in the clinch, utilise that free hand. I think Eubank Jr. can do that. I've seen him do that in certain fights. So in the clinch, I think Eubank Jr. just needs to make sure he gets a hand free so he can work. And also, like I said, I'm sure this guy's the stronger guy physically. In the clinch, make that strength known. Try to push Korobov back. Try to out-wrestle him and make him realise the clinch isn't a safe space. Because for some fighters, the clinch is a safe space. That's how they recover, that's how they get some stamina back, that's how they recuperate from getting hurt. Eubank Jr. can't afford to give Korobov that luxury. He needs to make it a rough, rugged fight. He always needs to be working when he can. And basically just don't give Korobov a breather. Either make this guy constantly move and wait for him to slow down, or if he does try to clinch, make him realise that's a bad idea. So, physicality is always going to be a key factor in Eubank Jr. fights. It's one of his most impressive attributes. Even at 168, he did actually display some decent strength, so I fully expect him to do that at middleweight. And actually, I really wouldn't be surprised to see a stronger Eubank Jr. at 160 in comparison to the last time we saw him in this weight class. In fact, I'm kind of expecting it, to be honest. I've got Chris Eubank Jr. to win this fight. I'm not really sure on the method, but either a late stoppage like a come from behind victory or a close points win potentially controversial. That is my prediction for this fight. Like I've said, Korobov has the skill to outbox Eubank Jr. and potentially beat Eubank Jr. I really wouldn't be shocked, but I just think the guy is a little bit too long in the tooth, and some of his natural weaknesses play into Eubank Jr.'s hands in regards to the stamina. So I am going towards a Eubank Jr. win, but certainly risky. It's a bad style for him, so I respect Eubank Jr. for taking this fight. I like it. It's levels above the main event, so I'm looking forward to it. Share your thoughts below. Peace.